Stellaris is many things. A balanced game, it most definitely is not. And you know what? I'm perfectly fine with that. In general, a lot of people say, yeah, Stellaris is one of the few Paradox games where you start in a place which is completely and totally symmetrical. Your starting position is very similar to everybody else, unlike, say, for Crusader Kings or EU4, where you can start as, say, the Ottomans or any of the other large empires, but also some of the smaller stuff. In this particular game, you start off as a single planetary system, and you expand from there on. And that is all fine. However, by itself, the game is not balanced. And like I mentioned, that is perfectly fine. For instance, we start out in our capital system at the moment. There's 12 energy, a bunch of resources, and a bunch of trade value there. And a very similar setup here for our neighbors, which are part of the AI. But from that moment onwards, from the exploration of systems around you, everything gets crazy. It's one of the reasons why I like to send out so many of these science ships out all over the place, just to get as many as possible of anomalies going, because anomalies really push the game into your favor, to the point that in some cases you can find yourself cruisers about 10 years into the game and completely stomp everybody else. But there is more to this as well. For instance, there's the whole point of going into a new game and setting up an empire and stuff like that, and be like, hey, I want my empire to be the following. I'm going to go to my government and ethics. I want my empire to be a syncretic evolution and fanatic purifiers. Now, fanatic purifiers is pretty much the ultimate power fantasy. They are so incredibly overpowered, and they will steamroll anything, to the point that I know that some of the multiplayer communities completely and outright ban fanatic purifiers or any of the empires that run any of the Total War CBs. Now, what is a Total War CB? A Total War CB is that you can declare war on anybody without any reason whatsoever and roll into their space and take systems without going through any sort of peace negotiations, which is fine. But in the case of fanatic purifiers, fire rates increase, ship cost is reduced, naval capacity is increased. You are a military powerhouse. And of course, you get unity for every Xeno you purge. Is this balanced? Absolutely not. It's not balanced in any way, shape, or form. Is it fun? That is the real question. Stellaris, to me, is a game that, because there are so many aspects of things, you know, you can play it in so many different ways, is that the game, from my perspective, should be balanced for fun. And there's a lot of people all out there saying, oh, this needs to be nerfed, this needs to be nerfed, this needs to be boosted. Calm down. The real question is, are you having fun? To me, sometimes I will pick up a game, I will play as Fanatic Purifiers, and of course, as a Fanatic Purifier, I will automatically go for the cutest possible, portrait that is in the game, and play them as super cutesy, I want to purge you with nuclear fire approach, which is perfectly fine. Cuddle Muffins is a good example of that, and it's a way of playing the game super quickly. Will you get access to diplomacy? No, you won't get access to diplomacy. Will you get access to the galactic market? No, but you still have the internal market. Is it fun? It's a power fantasy. I think it is. Rolling over Xenos, destroying them en masse. It's great. We can go even further than that. Let's say that we are playing as a Gestalt consciousness as a hive mind. Devouring Swarm, basically the same thing. Hull points are increased, we get society research from eating xenopops, we get bigger fleets, our army damage is increased, ship cost is reduced, and it can go even further than that. Like machine intelligence, the German exterminators, exactly the same concept. They're a little bit weaker than Fanatic Purifiers, but overall, they are fun to play. Driven Assimilators is another one of those super powerful Total War CB factions that can purge and assimilate other empires extremely quickly and completely roll out of control. Are they balanced? Absolutely not. You can conquer the galaxy in 150 years flat. Hell, 100 years if you really do your best. And it becomes a challenge in terms of managing your population, sure. But again, the argument of saying that stuff needs to be nerfed, from my point of view, is completely wrong. Balancing stuff for fun, on the other hand, is important. Now, this kind of brings me to the point here, and that is the issue of Total War CBs. From a storyline point of view, they make perfect sense. Why would any empire need a reason to invade somebody else? Sure, let's say you're a spiritualist empire that is also egalitarian. Oh, those Xenos over there, they should all live in harmony and on equality, but follow our religion. That's a cool CB. Total War, on the other hand, just invading people for the sake of invading. Not so much. Sure, it's difficult to balance these sort of things, and that's why I'm really looking forward to the some of the promises that the developers have made about upcoming items, specifically regarding civics. We are going to see a lot more civics in the future, and I'm really looking forward to it. Devouring Swarm, as well as Determined Exterminator, Fanatic Purifiers, they have their place, but seeing more stuff with civics is something that really makes things interesting. You start off on a relic world, you come out of a cryopod, cool. You start off on a planet that's about to be destroyed in 50 years by a supernova, also cool. There's so many ways you can spin this, and it's all fun. It doesn't matter who you find out there in the galaxy. It doesn't matter if you find null void beams super early on, or if you find yourself a cruiser coming out of a gas giant, or you can buy them from the Caravaneers, or if you don't have Megacorp from the Galactic Nomads. That's fine. It's fun. It's a story. Sure. Does it mess with multiplayer? Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't work very well for multiplayer, which is why I feel that Paradox's insistence of testing their games based on multiplayer is a little bit flawed. But I can understand why they would do it, just to keep things kind of in line and that other types of species don't run away from each other. And it's cool, but the whole idea of saying that Stellaris is a symmetric game is completely flawed. The anomalies, the factions, the events completely change every single gameplay. If it was truly symmetrical, everybody would get the same events and the same options, and it would be based on their choices. Say, for instance, if you're in StarCraft, you start off in a map, sure, you may be Zerg, you may be Terran, you still have the same options available to you in terms of resources and what you do with those resources in order to destroy the enemy. And that's clearly not the case here. Galactic geography definitely does not allow you for any of these sort of modifiers. And you know what? That is fine. Keep all these things. Make them more extreme. Make them crazier. Allow us to build insane stuff, because it allows us to work towards these things and get this power fantasy or this epic struggle of a small blossoming empire going out into the stars. It's a story that unfolds, not a balanced combat between two factions that just happen to play against each other over land. Why am I making this video? Because this is something that has really been on my mind lately in terms of what things are like in the game. And like I said, I really don't like nerfing stuff because it's overpowered. Just boost other stuff instead, or bring in more things to keep things interesting. People want to have that power fantasy, but sometimes they want to play something else. Sometimes they want to have the opportunity to play with a cult or with a mega corporation, or purging all the Xenos. Apparently, quite a lot of players play as pacifists, xenophiles, according to this metrics, from what I understand. But hey, that's just me rambling about what I feel is important to enjoy the game. I love this game. I've played thousands of hours of it. Whether or not my Steam account says that I've played more than 2,000, on the various builds, I've played quite a significantly longer amount. But yeah, Stellaris is a game very deeply to my heart. I love every single moment of it that I play, and don't nerf the game. Take a look at the mods. Stuff gets crazier by the second, and there's nothing I would want more than even crazier things. Crusader Kings is a good example of that, and so is this absolutely beautiful game in both of story visuals, and total galactic insanity. So this was a bunch of musings off the top of my head. I felt this. I need to get this off my chest. If you didn't like this video, it's perfectly fine. I just wanted to get this this out there. Just my thoughts about things. But yeah, science ships, Boki Union. I just hit random, generated a random species. See how far I can get. They are cutthroats and slavers and fanatic authoritarian and xenophobes. Because of course they are. Because this is Stellaris. Let's be xenophobic. It's really in this year. Until next time, take good care of yourselves. And as always, each other.